Mike Moore Media.
I'm checking in with our friends in Stoneville, and on our media line right now, Town Manager Perry Webster. The regular Stoneville Town Council meeting was last night, and we're going to look at some of the highlights of that. Hey, Perry, how you doing?
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Well, a lot covered last night. I was happy you didn't have closed session before the meeting, but doggone it, you had the closed session after that, so that was a long, long time for the board. But one thing we wanted to talk about that was of particular interest last night, and here on the agenda it says implementation of emergency response plan for the town. What is that?
Mike, we just observed 25 years later after the tornado that struck Rockingham County in Stoneville and Mayodan. And having talked with the chiefs, the fire chief, police chief, and our safety officer, I don't think we're any more ready to handle a situation of that nature than we were 25 years ago. We have hazardous material that that's transported through Stoneville every day, whether it be by rail or by tractor and trailer or what have you. If we had a spill and had to evacuate the eastern part of town for 5 miles, what would we do? We don't want to be in a state of chaos or a state of panic. We want to get a plan together that gives us instructions, and we would know exactly what we're going to do if we have an incident that, number one, we had to move people or we had to displace people out of their homes for some period of time. We want all those questions answered. We need to know if we have citizens in Stoneville who have special needs. If they're on oxygen in home or if they're bedridden, we need to know how to get to them, who we need to contact to get into their homes. And this is going to take a lot of work to get done, but I think we need a plan to where A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, those questions are answered, and we know what we're going to do. We need to have places that we've contacted to house people if we have an emergency, if we have to go outside of Stoneville or outside of Rockingham County to get it done. We need to have transportation for people with special needs, for people that are confined to wheelchairs or whatever. So in this plan, we have identified, we've really divided the town of Stoneville into north, south, east, and west. And from those, we picked a captain that will work with us in developing this plan, and who better to know these people than the people that live in those areas. So we're going to be sending out mailings to gain information about our citizens and what their needs are. And then those captains will choose people in their communities. It's almost like community watch, if you would have it. Mm-hmm. They'll pick people in those communities that will assist them if we had in making the calls and getting in contact with people, knowing where we need to send the proper personnel to assist our citizens if we have an issue that we have to move them or an issue that we have to provide special services for our citizens. With the help of the fire department, the police department, and the emergency management of Rockingham County, we're going to develop a plan that we can have. We know who to call. If we have to get churches that have vans that can have handicap ramps or can transfer people with who are confined to wheelchairs or what have you. Mm-hmm. We just want to get a plan in place to where, and of course, any plan is not going to be, where you don't have something that comes up that you don't have on that plan, but from this plan, we should be able to work any situation that comes our way. Mm-hmm. So basically, we get our citizens to cooperate with us. We won't violate any HIPAA violation or anything like that, because we're going to ask all this information that you give us will be voluntary. And we want people to understand how and when to use Code Red. We want to educate the public as much as we do our employees on what we're going to do if we have an issue. And then we've identified, have a volunteer that a Spanish-speaking volunteer, so we don't have a language barrier issue if have people who don't speak English, and we can communicate with them by phone or in person, and have that person who could have other people to assist her if we had to operate 3 telephones to get in contact with people to let them know what's happening and what they need to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we just want something in place that helps us help our citizens and protect our citizens.
And I guess we should note that Rockingham County Emergency Services, they have plans in place should an airplane crash or a hazardous spill, but this kind of brings it closer to home right there in Stoneville.
Right.
Yeah.
We need something that we know where we're going to be, where the management is going to be, what's going to be done, what we expect from the police, what we expect from the fire personnel, and then what we expect from our volunteers who have volunteered to help us with this program.
Yeah, okay. So that's all coming together to be prepared in an emergency.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
correct.
All right.
That is correct.
Some talk last night and has been for some time about potholes around town in Stoneville, and I wrote down, you had a quote last night, you called this, quote, a serious issue, and one of the councilmen said, yeah, this is a real problem. And tell us about you asked, someone was in town, a paving company person, and you asked them to go around and kind of give you an idea of what it would cost to fix all the potholes, and what was that cost, estimated?
Yeah, we went around, it's not a day goes by that I don't get a call from someone in reference to a pothole or streets that are in bad shape. So there was a paving company here doing a job for Sharon Baptist Church or their community center down there, and I just went down and asked him if he had someone that could go with me and give me estimates on what it would cost to repair our potholes. And the young man came up the next day, and we rode around for 2.5 hours in the town of Stoneville, and he marked each problem area, and he then went back later on with another employee, and of course they have to measure and see what it would cost them just to complete the work here in Stoneville, and the total came up to $284,000.
Wow.
The problem being is, number one, is finding funds to take care of those issues. Number two, we're working with, trying to get grants and what have you to correct our water and sewer infrastructure, because there's no need of paving the street today and then have to cut it up tomorrow because you got a water leak or a sewer backup.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in a position to where, we're going to seek, I'm looking every day for grant funds that could be used to improve our streets. Number two, what we call a power bill money, but you can only use those funds on power bill streets. So we have to identify the streets, and when that money comes in, it should be late September, middle October, identify streets that qualify for power bill money, and hopefully we can repair some of those streets or some of those areas with power bill money. That therein lies another problem, because if you live on 1st Street and I live on 3rd Street and I've got problems, you got problems, but 3rd Street's not a power bill street, then people want to know, why did you do 1st Street and not 3rd Street? So
it's not as easy as people think, is it?
No. It's very complicated. And we know that we have these problems, and these problems did not occur overnight, and they're not going to be resolved overnight. We'll seek funds. It's obvious that for that amount of money, we don't have that amount of money in our street repair budget. It's just not there. And I doubt very seriously there any small towns compared to Stoneville that would have almost $300,000 in your street repair fund. So we're going to have to seek grant funds. We want our citizens to know that every day we are looking for ways to fund the repairs of these streets and repairs of our water and sewer infrastructure. So it's just an issue that we are addressing, and we don't want people to think we're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs, not doing anything. I hear them. I see the problems. I travel these streets every day. So I see those problems, and we will address them as soon as we can find funds to address these issues.
Yeah, okay. And you can't just patch a pothole either, can you?
No. It's got to be dug out. It's got to be gravel put in there, and then asphalt, and then rolled to so you're not having a bump. The asphalt's higher than the street or whatever. It's just a procedure you have to follow Now, a couple of streets in Stoneville are classified state-maintained roads. So if we have issues on that road, we get assistance from the state. But they're very few. Church Street, Henry Street, and Main Street, and the south end of Glenn Street is declared state-maintained. So we may be able to get the state to assist us on some of those areas, but the other streets fall under the town, and we'll have to find a way to repair them.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, before our time runs out, anything else we need to mention? I know one thing you wanted to talk about probably is the growth of the Parks and Recreation Department. That's going well. It
is. Dylan has done an outstanding job with our children. Now they've got the T-ball going, and if you're down there on Tuesdays or Saturdays, you'll see a great outpouring of children and their parents and grandparents, what have you, down there enjoying the T-ball that he's worked so hard to do. And we've gotten a contract now with the church here. We can use their gymnasium, and Dylan will be starting open gym, and maybe in the fall adult basketball, junior basketball, youth basketball, just programs to keep everything going. And this is the way I think that you build champions, if you will. You start these kids at a very young age, and I've told Dylan to contact the junior high and or middle school now we call it, and senior high coaches, and maybe training them to, when they get to the middle school, they already know what the coach expects and what they're going to have to do. And I think other successful programs, such as high school programs, this is the way that they've done it. They've trained these kids from the T-ball age all the way to high school, and that, to me, builds champions, or builds a better team, if you will, because they are exposed to the activities that they would be facing in middle and high school.
Yeah, that formula works. Hey, you've seen that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it does.
All right. Anything else we need to mention, Perry?
Well, our public works building, we're getting, last night we talked about it, and we're getting ready. Hopefully we can break ground by September with good weather and getting the contractors in place. It seems that now that everybody's busy and you're on a waiting list, but we hope to get there, and by the end of the year anyway, we hope to have that building complete.
Okay. We're going to have a party there, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
We're celebrating.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, before we get away, one more thing, and it was mentioned in the meeting last night in Stoneville, and that's the Ace Signco property and the hole and all of that. What's the latest on that?
Mike, it's a delicate situation. There's not a lot we want to do. I've talked to several contractors, and we don't want to do anything that would disturb that wall for the post office or the flooring for the post office foundation-wise. So what we're doing now is putting dirt and gravel in there gradually and just smoothing it out with our backhoe and letting nature take its course as to compacting that. I don't think there'll ever be, I know there's not a plan to put a building back there. If anything, it'll be sowed in grass. So we are just kind of taking our time. I know it's not attractive right now, but it will be. Just give us a little time to get more and more done week by week. And we have a very limited staff in our public works department, and they're really staying busy. So we have to do a little bit at the time, but we will get it taken care of.
Yeah. You've been in law enforcement many years and in town government. Is patience one of your strong suits?
No, patience is not one of my strong suits, but having been there so long, I'm learning that you just got to be patient. You just got to, as they say, waiting is not easy, but you just got to wait. You got to let things take a course. It's a course that has to be followed, and to everything there's a reason. So
everything there's a season.
Yeah. So we just go through this waiting stage sometimes. So
I know what you're talking about.
Please be patient with us. We'll get there.
Okay, Perry. Thanks for your time. Always appreciate it. I know you've got a lot going on. We'll talk again next month.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You too. Bye. That's Stoneville Town Manager Perry Webster. For more information, go to the website, and that would be town.stoneville.nc.us, and on Facebook, Town of Stoneville, NC. And please support our Stoneville merchants. Shop local.